What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty behind the camera from Ty Drives, and this is a 2022 Audi S4 in the Premium Plus trim level with the S Sport package, navigation package. This thing has quite a few options and it's pretty loaded up, so we have a pretty cool spec'd out S4 for you guys to look at today. Now, within this video, we're going to be taking a walk around the exterior, pointing out all of the features. We're also going to take a look under the hood, see what powers the S4. Then we'll start getting into the interior, and we're going to start that with the trunk, move forward to the rear seats, and finally make our way to the front seats. But you're going to want to make sure to stick around to the end of the video, because I'm going to strap this GoPro to my head, and we're going to take it out and see what it's like to drive it. Before we get started, I'd like to give a thanks to Valenti Audi of Watertown, Connecticut, for providing this car for filming. Up front, we have full LED headlamps that come standard, so we even have LED turn signals and daytime running lights up here, so both high and low beams as well. Very nice looking when illuminated. And if we take a look down below, we have some cool silver accenting. You'll see a lot of this because this car does not have the black optic package. It kind of has this aluminum look instead of the painted black accents, which I think is pretty unique to this car. Then we also have some sensors and whatnot down below as well. Parking sensors and your front camera. 360 view comes standard on the Premium Plus trim. I also have the S4 badging over here too. Sort of a longer hood with some pretty cool creases to it, and some very nice silver painted alloys here. As we can see, the tires measure 245/40 and the rims measure up at 18 inches. Some pretty large red painted calipers as well. Pretty cool lines on this car too. You can see these sort of shadow lines that go underneath the hood and kind of continue all the way towards the back. Again, aluminum capped mirrors and the metal trim around the doors. And even some painted silver trim on the bottom of the doors. You can see that all four door handles have the smart key entry system, which is pretty nice. And back here we have the same wheel and tire setup. Up top we have a shark fin antenna and a little bit of a larger sunroof, which is nice. And making our way around back, again, same treatment as up front. We got full LED tail lamps with the sort of the dynamic turn signals, which is really nice. Parking sensors back here. Nice quad exhaust tips with the dual mode exhaust. And we'll take a listen to that exhaust in just a bit. And the S4 badging. Nice little chrome strip that runs the length of the deck lid. It actually goes into the taillights too, which is a pretty cool design element. And you also have trunk release, reversing camera, and a little bit of a deck lid spoiler. So, what do we think about this S4? It looks pretty sharp in my opinion, especially in this configuration with the quantum gray and the sort of aluminum optic instead of the black optic package. So, popping the hood on the S4 reveals a 3-liter turbocharged V6, and it's good for 349 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. So, pretty potent powertrain for a car of this size, and that kind of goes head-to-head with other things like the 340i and things like that. But under here, pretty tight, and you have some pretty cool red accents on the top of the engine cover. But again, very tidy. Everything seems to be tied together very nicely. You have battery connections up here. And you can also see we have some little bit of extra rigidity with some strut braces and things like that under here. And we also have the hood latch right in the center. So, popping the trunk next reveals a pretty good amount of space back here actually, and you can even expand that space by folding the seats down. They normally fold a 60-40 split, but you can also fold the center down, so it's actually can be a 40-20-40 split, so that's pretty neat. Very strange noises going on in the background, but we can ignore that. We have some net pockets to either side, 1-2 over there, and we also have some pretty neat stuff in here. So the carpeted floor mats, you see, have this red stitching on it. We also have all weather floor mats back here, little grocery bag hanger as well. And if we lift up the cargo floor, see, you have a spare tire back here, and you also have cargo tie downs points to each corner of the trunk, and they also give you 2 handles, 1 on each side, to close it down. And we can check out the rear seats next. Fine Napa leather seats are an option that this car has. So we'll have some very nice materials on the interior, including some sort of microfiber suede or Alcantara. We also have red stitching found throughout and carbon fiber trim. Nice metal work with the trim and the handle as well. We also have the 19-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is also an option just below, just under $1,000, I believe, which is a pretty good price for this sound system, if you ask me, because it packs quite the punch. Very beautiful attention to the detail on the seats, contrast stitching on the backrests and the bottom of the seats, and let me tell you, this is some of the most soft leather that I have ever touched or felt in any car. Very solid sounding doors. We also have a pretty good amount of legroom, so I'd say about 1 inch, maybe 2 inches of legroom. I'm about 5'10", and I did adjust this front seat to a normal driving position for myself. I have a couple of things back here worth pointing out. We have a third zone for the climate control, so the rear passengers have their own temperature to adjust for the climate. In case you're wondering, heated rear seats are only available on the Prestige model for 2022. We have 2 USB Type A charging ports and a 12-volt. And you can fit somebody in the third seat back here, the central seat. It will be a little bit of a pinch, but there is a third seat belt back here. A couple of things here on the armrest. You can actually fold down the pass-through with a little handle under there, and that'll fold down, and you can even lock it for valet purposes, and that gives you access to the trunk. You can fold that back up and fold down the armrest, which we have a couple of cup holders. Pretty neat the way they open, and a little bit of storage with sunglasses or a little handkerchief or something like that. We have grab handles up top and LED lights. Very nice. And a very nice view at the dashboard up front. At this point, we can check out the front. So you can kind of see on the ground here that this has the S floor projection light, so that's pretty cool there. I'm glad it's dark enough so that you could see that. Front on the door panels, same materials. You have the carbon fiber, the aluminum accents, the microfiber suede, and the leather, and the contrast stitching. Very nice. And you can also see the little blind spot warning on the mirror. That will actually illuminate yellow when somebody's in your blind spot. We have 2-person memory seats, the lock and unlock buttons. We have individual child locks for the rear, power folding and heated mirrors, and we also have a trunk release and a couple of speakers on the door as well. A little bit of storage. Taking a look to the left of the dash, we have some more carbon fiber accents. We have all of our lighting controls, gauge dimmer, and sort of an all-weather lighting, or sort of fog lights, you could say. So we have the release here for the tilt telescoping steering wheel. A pretty big storage console in here. As you can see, I have the whole owner's manual stuck in here, and there's even some more room back there to fit other things. We also have a hood release over there and some pretty nice aluminum accented pedals, and the S badge on the kick plates there. Very beautiful seats for this vehicle. You even have the little S logo up near the headrests. Very customizable too for these seats. They're actually massaged. There's 3 different massage settings. You have your normal adjustments, the 4-way lumbar, and you can also adjust the side bolsters too, so you can hug them or loosen them as well. And you also have the ability to move the thigh extensions back and forth, which is a very good idea in my comfort levels in a car anyways. So, pretty traditional Audi key we get with this vehicle, but it has a little S logo on the back, which is pretty cool. We have lock, unlock, trunk release, panic alarm, and we have these 2 little buttons to each end, one over here, and if you pinch those simultaneously, the actual key will pop out in case you need it. That'll give you a pretty cool spot to put the key right here. And we of course have push button start. So, what do we think about this cockpit? I think it's a pretty stylish yet sporty cockpit for the S4. A few changes done to the cabin of this to separate it a little bit from the A4, which is welcomed. But we could first start off with the steering wheel. So as you can see, we have some pretty cool combination of smooth leather and sort of a dimpled leather for where you hold the wheel. Gives you just that little extra grip if you're taking the vehicle on the track. Very nice design to the steering wheel, though. I think it's one of the best looking steering wheels in the industry. Controls over here for your virtual cockpit. We have a heated steering wheel and your Bluetooth and voice command controls over there. Skipping and radio volume on this little sector of buttons here. We also have paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel. They're kind of just a sort of plastic. I would have liked to see them a little bit nicer, but beggars can't be choosers. We also have a couple of stalks in the back of the steering wheel, one for your turn signals, and you also have a quick shut off or activate button for the lane keeping assist right at the end of the stalk, as well as your high beams, automatic high beams on this vehicle. And we also have your adaptive cruise control stalk right there. And to the other side, we of course have our wipers, which are rain sensing. Up here we have the virtual cockpit. I know it looks like there's a lot going on right now, but I can't explain it all. We can kind of configure the screen using all of these buttons over here, and kind of go through the menus quick and kind of just get a gist of what this screen is all about. So we can kind of go through a different couple of sub menus between in this sort of vehicle information screen. You know, long-term, short-term memory, real-time fuel economy, time and date, and also your driver's assistance and everything like that. So they'll kind of show up with traffic signs and your lane keeping assist. And I'm going to keep it on this menu when we go on our test drive so that you can see what that looks like with the lane keep assist. It's pretty cool looking. And at any point you could kind of press this view button here and it'll kind of push the information that's not essential to either sides and kind of make your tachometer this large sort of hockey stick design, which looks pretty awesome if you ask me. Going back, you can switch to your radio screen as well as what your phone is doing and the infamous large navigation screen, which everybody loves. Kind of just shrinks everything. You still have a tachometer and speedometer down there. It just kind of gives you a big screen for the navigation, so that's pretty cool. Other things worth mentioning, you have your oil temperature over here, as well as your boost pressure, which is pretty cool. And then it'll kind of show you a gas gauge over here, or a range over there. That's pretty nice too. Heads-up display is available on the Prestige model, however the Premium Plus does not come with it. I have a couple of speakers up top, as well as a kind of larger center channel speaker. And this brings me down to the MMI system. It's all touch screen, this sort of newer touch sort of screen that they came out with in the last couple of years. And it's a very nicely done sort of vertical up screen. It doesn't look like it's sticking up too much out of the dash, which I usually don't like in vehicles, but we'll kind of just get a general gist of this. I don't want to take up too much of the time explaining all the features of the screen. So this is kind of what your home menu would be. It shows you what your radio is doing, what your phone is doing, and also a quick view of the map, which is pretty nice. If you move over, we have all of your different apps, and we'll kind of go through them quick so that you know what they look like. We have the radio screen up here with the different sources. We have the phone and navigation screen, and you can go right over here to input your destination. We have phone apps, so once you have your phone connected to the vehicle, it's also a wireless Apple CarPlay. So once you have the Apple CarPlay Android Auto hooked up, that will become the activation for those apps. We have the vehicle screen here, which we could pull up the drive select. We have a couple of different driving modes with an individual, and you could configure a few different things in here with the individual mode, which is pretty cool. And you get a little visual over here for each different mode. We have lighting and visibility, all different kinds of things, such as your driver's assistance, so you can see what kind of assistance systems this vehicle has. You can also swipe from the top and kind of configure your audio settings. Lots of different configuration with this Bang & Olufsen system. It really does pack quite a punch, and there's lots of customability to the system, and that's kind of why I'm saying it's definitely worth the $950 that they ask optional on this S4 or A4 for that matter. We also have the general vehicle settings, or I should say system settings, and you can go through all of that if you like. We have the general settings, sound settings and things like that, and just various things that you get set up once you own the car, such as different users. So if you say you use the car a couple days a week and your wife uses the car the next couple of days of the week, you can kind of go in and set up your own profile, so that once the once the person gets in, you kind of select, hey, I'm driving the car today, I want all of my settings. It's already all stored in there, nice. So that's pretty cool. We'll kind of just leave the drive select menu up so we could switch between comfort and dynamic on our test drive. We have the hazards button right in the center. Pretty cool design with the sort of illusion of the air vents going all the way across the dash. So that's pretty neat. Very simple climate control, and it looks very nice as well. We have 3-stage heated seats for both the driver and passenger. We have the defrosters over here recirculating and turning the climate control off on the other side. And the temperatures to either side, as you can see, it's a 3-zone climate control. When you kind of rest your fingers on a button, it displays the more menus, and then once you actually click, that is when it actually changes the setting. So that's pretty cool. Down below we have a quick drive mode select. We can turn both the traction control and parking sensors and auto start stop off with these 3 buttons here. We can also turn the infotainment screen off. Start stop button like you saw earlier when we started the vehicle, a USB type A port, and then a 12 volt. Nice little spot here to put pencils and pens as well. Some cup holders and a little bit of storage. 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission with a constant quattro all-wheel drive, which works out very nicely. And put it down into drive like so. And we also can bump it down to put the transmission into a sport mode. We also have reverse, which will pop up our backup camera, and also the 360 camera pops up over there. You can see we also have guidance lines, and there's a couple of settings that you can go through in different camera views, which is pretty nice. We have the front wide angle, just the normal front, a bigger picture of the top down and the parking sensors visual, rear view, wide angle rear view, the front wheels and the rear wheels. So pretty customizable camera setup there. And we have the little P right where my thumb is for park. Nice little S badge over there. We have the electronic parking brake, so just make sure your foot's on the brake pedal. Press down to deactivate and pick up to activate. A little volume knob over here with the skipping between the different tracks. And you also have a nice slab of carbon fiber accents down here. Nice little armrest. Now, because of the global chip shortage, I'm sure you guys have heard nothing about it. That's just a joke, by the way. But this car will not come with a wireless charging pad until there are enough chips available to put them in. So normally this car would have it, but this particular one doesn't because of the chip shortage. We also have a USB fast charger in there as well. Taking a look over in the passenger area, they have a lockable glove box with some illumination. It's all felt lined in there. You have a pen holder, coin holders, the whole 9 yards. We also have a nice auto dimming rear view mirror that's frameless. And taking us up to this center stack, we have some touch sensitive LED lights. We also have some more lighting controls, SOS and service controls up here. Completely black headliner, which I like very much. And we can open the sunroof. See, it's a little bit of an oversized sunroof as well. And the controls for that roof are right here. You can either vent or slide it. A couple of other things worth mentioning before we get this out on the road are the sun visors. So they can fold down and also fold out to the side. And you also have the mirror with lights, and all 4 passengers in this vehicle have grab handles. All right, with that said, I think we've discussed enough of the features of this vehicle, and I think you got a good idea of what this car has to offer. Stationary, but now let's get it out on the road and see what it has to offer in that segment. Alrighty, so driving the 2022 Audi S4. So I'm going to give you a little overview of what we're going to do on this test drive. So we're going to come down to this dead end, test out the turning circle, and we'll get it out onto a straight road, sort of get it up to maybe 45, 50 miles an hour. We'll see what it's like at that speed. We'll also test out the lane keeping assist, so that's pretty cool. The way that this system works, and hopefully it'll detect the lines with all the salt and stuff on the roads at this point. And we're going to leave it in comfort mode up until then. When that section of the test drive ends, we will take it for a little acceleration test. So what I like to do is get it usually from 25 miles an hour up until 60. So we'll see what the transmission reacts, how it reacts. Very good turning circle, by the way. We'll drop it into dynamic mode and do that acceleration test, and that will kind of bring us into a very nice back road. So we'll get a feel for the suspension and handling, and how the steering stiffens up a bit, and it'll really give us a good idea of what this vehicle is like to drive on your day-to-day commute. After that section of the test drive is done with in the dynamic mode, we'll then drop it back into comfort, because there's a pretty bumpy section of the road with lots of potholes and things like that, and we'll test out what the suspension is like sort of with the rougher roads up here in New England. So the driver's assistance is now active, as you can see, with the little green lines there, and if I change, those little green lines will stay up. And if you seem to sort of veer out of your lane, you can see it'll turn red and sort of turn you back into your lane. And it's not a very intrusive system. It doesn't jerk you into the lane. It just gently drifts you over back into where you're supposed to be. So that's a good thing. We're going to turn that off for now. But just to give you a good idea on how that lane keep works, because there are some systems that are I'm not a huge fan of at all. Especially on my Nissan Frontier truck, my 22 Nissan Frontier. Not the best. Audi does it much better, I have to say. But we're not comparing apples to apples there at all. You also have the distance warning, so it's picking up that RAV4 that's quite a bit ahead of us. And that'll kind of go along with the adaptive cruise control if you have it active. And up at 50-55 miles an hour, it's pretty quiet in here. The 18-inch wheels definitely are going to help out with the ride quality and whatnot, and also the road noise. At this point, we're going to drop it into dynamic, get it up to 25, and we'll see what happens. So it's definitely quite the performer. It's definitely quite the powerhouse, this vehicle. And switch it back over to comfort really quick. So it does get a little bit more bumpy over here. So we'll switch it over to comfort. And there's been some developing potholes up here in Connecticut, so I'm just going to be careful not to slice open a tire. Really, the ride quality is pretty good on this vehicle. It's got a little bit of a sport tuned suspension over the traditional A4, but it's definitely very comfortable still. The steering has a nice weight to it, even in comfort. You know, it's still on the lighter side, but let's switch over to dynamic again. You hear the subtle pops of the exhaust too, which is pretty cool, and it automatically puts you into the sport transmission mode. And the steering does weighten up ever so slightly. So hopefully these corners aren't too sandy and wet, so that we can just get a little feel for how it takes the corners. So it's not too bad. I didn't go anything crazy on the corners for this test drive, obviously, because I don't want to do anything negative to this brand new car. You don't really want to beat on a car when it's brand new. I also don't want to ruin it. But I can say that the S4 is a pretty decent handler, and the fact that it does take the turns pretty flat and pretty good. Here, the key is rattling around. It seems every time I do this test drive route, those potholes seem to get worse and worse. But that is good for us, so that we really know what the suspension is like, and it is very compliant over the rougher roads. One thing I wanted to talk about on this test drive are the seats. Now, the seats in the base A4, I just can't seem to get all that comfortable in. But once you step up to the A4 with the larger, or should I say more powerful 2-liter turbo, it gives you a set of sport seats. And I've kind of figured out along the years that the most comfy seats to me are not the comfort seats, it's actually the sport seats. And the sport seats in this vehicle are very comfy, to me at least. There's lots of adjustability with these seats, you know, the thigh extensions and also the back support, so the sort of hugging and loosening of the bolsters. That's what sort of makes the seat pretty comfortable to me. Nonetheless, it also has the 4-way lumbar, and the massage is not the best in the industry. You know, what do you expect? It's, you know, this is an S4, not an A8, but at least it has it. I think there's, we'll pull it up here. I think there is, yep, 3 different settings, and then 3 different intensities for each setting. And it's kind of just a sort of lumbar massage. So it kind of, the air pockets in the lumbar just kind of move in and out, just to get your back from being less fatigued. So that's pretty cool. And one more thing I would like to point out is the steering wheels on Audis always just seem to have a great 9-3 grip, and that's where I usually hold steering wheel, so that's kind of important for me too. It's just a very comfortable spot to hold the steering wheels on really any Audi. Alrighty, and making our way back into our home base here, for my wrap-up thoughts on the S4. So for 2022, the S4 has pretty much remained the same as the 2021 model year. You know, maybe a few little tweaks to packaging and things like that for the different trim levels and packaging, of course. But, you know, why mess with a formula that works so well? And that is what they did with this vehicle. And kind of working with Audis for the past 3-4 years, I've kind of come to expect very good things. And of course, this you know, is a very great daily driver. You know, you can definitely have fun with it on the weekends, without a doubt. And it's also great for your daily commute, whether that be on the highway or some back roads or even some city driving. So with that being said, I hope you have enjoyed the 2022 Audi S4 just as much as I have. And I also hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one in the future.